Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Darkives. I'm Jamie talking to Leo.
And I'm Leo listening to Jamie.
And this week I have something a little different. I have numerous tales from one place spanning the past 100 years. So this is going to be our most recent story.
Okay.
I am going to be telling you guys the dark history of Everest.
Ooh, Mount Everest. I'm sure there's plenty
Mm-hmm.
of horror stories going up there.
Yes, a lot of tragedy, a lot of, name of the podcast, a lot of dark stuff. As always, you guys can follow us on our socials at Darkives Podcast. You guys can send suggestions, questions, comments, concerns, anything of the nature. You ready to get into it?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm going to start this with a little background and nice history of the mountain. Everest is located in the Himalayan mountain range on the border of Tibet, an autonomous region of China, and Nepal. The summit lies right on the border of Nepal and Tibet. So the north face falls in Tibet and the south face falls in Nepal. In 1841, Everest was recognized as the tallest peak in the world by Sir George Everest, a former Surveyor General of India. In 1865, the mountain was officially named after him, but the Tibetan name for the mountain is Chomolungma, which means goddess of the world, and the Nepali name is Sagarmatha, which has been translated to forehead in the sky per National Geographic. I saw some sources saying that it translates to a lot of things, but National Geographic says that it's forehead in the sky.
Let's go Nat Geo.
It is 29,032 feet or 8,848 meters tall. It is still today considered to be the tallest point on Earth. Expeditions are made possible with the help of the Sherpa people, who are an ethnic group local to the region, not just mountain guides.
I thought a Sherpa was somebody who would lead somebody up. They usually had they showed you the way and they'd have a mule with your supplies and stuff like that. That's like a Sherpa, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of the image that I had of it too.
These are actual...
It's a group of people,
like indigenous people or just regular citizens around Everest base.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Sherpa lifestyle has long been practiced in the high altitude of the mountains, so they are a lot more accustomed to life with low oxygen levels, and they are farmers, herders, traders. They're just living life like normal, but crazy high up.
Yeah, just super high altitude.
Mm-hmm. Due to this, they are more accustomed to being in the low oxygen. So that is also a reason why they are so good at guiding people up this mountain, you know? Their bodies are more accustomed to it.
Yeah, they're acclimated to the...
Acclimated, that's the perfect word, yes. Let's get into why Everest is as deadly as it is. Everest is obviously a dangerous place, but why do you think Everest is as dangerous as it is?
I would just say the extreme weather and cold would be why it's dangerous.
Yes, it is snow and ice, which can create avalanches, blizzards, and just the low temperatures, causing frostbite, hypothermia, quickly getting ya. There is a limited climbing season due to the bad weather conditions. So there is a very, very small amount of time in the year where people can safely climb this mountain. Another big problem for people is the altitude.
Yeah, if you're not acclimated to the height that you're going, if your body's not used to doing that, you feel almost like you're drunk when you get at a high enough altitude.
Mm-hmm. It can cause brain swelling. I'll get into a little bit more of the altitude sickness, but those two, so the weather, snow and ice, the altitude, and honestly, just inexperience are the big three that will kill people. Before you can even climb Everest, people are required to have previously climbed a mountain in Nepal with a height of at least 21,325 feet or 6,500 meters. You have to submit documentation proving good health and good physical fitness from a doctor.
From a physician of
Yeah,
some sort.
I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. You also have to undergo a basic training session for good mountaineering practices and high altitude climbing techniques, as well as purchasing rescue insurance and having the money to hire a guide or a trusted, reputable group that will climb with you. There are 3 different permits for Everest. The first one being a permit that will allow you to visit base camp and only base camp, which is about 17,600 feet or 5,400 meters. So you're still really high up, but you're not going any higher just on this one. The second will get you to the Khumbu Icefall. This gets you between 18 and 20,000 feet up. So you're only going about 2,500 more feet higher than base camp. The final permit is the summit permit, which I gotta say, depending on everything, but this could cost you up to $150,000.
Sheesh.
Some of them are a lot cheaper. I could not believe that there are some people paying that much money.
No, it depends on how safe you want to be getting up the mountain, I'm guessing. The more safety measures you have and the more experienced people you have, the more pricey it's probably going to be.
Yeah, but that number just absolutely blew me away. To summit Everest, that's how much. If all of this is in order, you're ready to rip, here's what could kill you when you're doing this. Starting with the weather, Everest is real picky with her weather. Thousands have summited during the springtime, but that window is only about 2 weeks in like April, May, due to temps ranging from -4 to -22 Fahrenheit. And there is a jet stream that typically shifts away from the summit at this time, which makes potential rescues and summits a lot easier. Winter season, however, which runs from late December to February, sometimes bleeding into March, is a much less forgiving time. Temperatures routinely drop to -40 and below, plus the wind chill makes any amount of time deadly.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, you have to get out to pee. You're risking your life at that temperature. The winter
You're
jets.
risking your willy at that temperature.
You're risking everything. I'd be scared of it freezing up inside me. Is that a real thing? At that temperature, it could be.
Well, your internal temperature would have to go. That's not a real thing.
What if it's like an ice? Like a.
No, your internal temperature would have to go that cold.
True. I'd be worried.
You'd be dead by that point.
A breeze catching right up there? Please cut that.
Yeah, no, we're not putting that in.
Okay. The winter jet stream remains over the mountain at this time, which leads to winds exceeding 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers per hour. Heavy snow accumulation can also obscure crevices, destabilize slopes, and bury tents. So if you can't see even you figure a 5-foot wide crevice because the snow is covering it, could drop 100 feet to your death just like that.
Yeah, or even, it couldn't even be because the snow's covering it. I mean, imagine 100-mile-an-hour winds running by you and if there was loose powder, there, I mean, you're basically got just...
It's a whiteout.
It's a fog of just powder flying by you all the time off the mountain. So, yeah, it's sketchy environment to be in. The winter weather is nothing to mess with. It doesn't take long. It's in less than ideal situations, it takes a few hours to go hypothermic. Could you imagine being on a friggin' mountain?
I know. The other big issue is altitude sickness. Now, altitude sickness can begin as low as 8,000 feet or 2,440 meters. It can cause nausea, headaches, dizziness, exhaustion, and that's just at that low altitude. Above 12,000 feet or 3,600 meters, more severe cases can include difficulty walking, increased breathlessness, a bubbling sound in your chest, coughing up pink frothy liquid, and confusion or loss of consciousness.
Depriving the brain from oxygen is never good. You're way more likely to fall over, and there's just a million things that could happen.
Yeah, and I mean, you're up on Everest, and even if you just stumble a little bit, it could be life or death.
Yeah, it's like out here in Colorado. When I first moved out here, I moved from New Hampshire, right? So sea level, no incline.
Yeah.
I moved out to Boulder when I first got out here, and I was a smoker at the time too. I smoked cigarettes at the time. Don't anymore. But yeah. I remember when I first moved out here, just walking a few blocks, I'd get lightheaded if I was smoking a cigarette. Get lightheaded walking around just because we're like a mile up, you know?
Yeah.
And then another one was my mom and dad. When they came out here to visit, they went to Pikes Peak. And that was the thing my dad said. He was all like, I felt friggin' drunk when I got to the top of that mountain. So,
that's brutal.
Yeah, he was up there. He went to the general store. He said he was like weebling and wobbling trying to walk into the general store at the top of Pikes Peak because he was just not used to the altitude.
Oh my goodness.
He must have went up there a day or two after he came out here to visit.
Yeah, I mean, you hear it all the time of people coming out here and going straight into the mountains and they end up with altitude sickness. It's not to be underestimated. It can get you. It'll get you. The area above 26,000 feet or 8,000 meters on Everest is called the death zone, where people can only stay for about 16 to 20 hours in total. That is before the lack of oxygen or the altitude sickness will really, really fuck with you. There's actually a 2 p.m. rule that is on Everest, and it states that climbers are required to reach the summit by 2 p.m. or they have to turn around. Whether you made it or not, you got to start turning back and descending.
Yeah, because otherwise you might not make it back down.
Exactly. It allows climbers enough time to descend in the daylight or in the daytime before afternoon storms and colder temperatures set in. Now, let's start getting into some of the history. Going back as far as 1921, Everest had so far been unconquerable. In 1950, a southern approach in the newly opened Nepal gave hope to potential climbers to find a new, safer way up to the summit. Before that, Nepal wasn't allowing people in. In the following year, the first ascent to the Khumbu Icefall was made, and it wasn't dubbed this until the 90s, but the Yellow Brick Road to the summit had been identified. So the Khumbu Icefall is like the main way to get up there. In 1952, a Swiss team made it 28,210 feet or 8,598 meters before they had to turn back. So they almost made it. In 1953, the British became the next team to try. They hired the same Sherpa as the Swiss team did, a man by the name of Tenzing Norgay, and a military leader named Sir John Hunt led the climbing crew, along with 350 porters, 20 other Sherpas, and only 10 climbers. A big crew for not a lot of climbers. But this was unprecedented, you know? Nobody had ever...
Yeah, they were trying to hedge their bets, do everything possible to get them to the top.
Exactly. The first men to officially reach the summit were Hillary and Tenzing, Hillary being Edmund Hillary and Tenzing being the Sherpa. They were the first ones to make it to the summit and make it back down alive. They summited at 11:30 a.m. on May 29th of 1953 and stayed up on the summit itself for about 15 minutes.
Of that whole crew, were they the only two that summited? Or were they just the first two? Because I think that's probably Hillary going, I can't let the Sherpa be the first man to get to the top. So the first two were me and him.
Well, they actually, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing, had come to an agreement that they were not going to say who the first person to actually summit was. And it was only years later after Tenzing released he released a book that he said that Edmund Hillary was the first man who did it. But they agreed not to say anything immediately to the press. And to answer your question, it was only Hillary and Tenzing who summited during that first expedition. Other men had gone up and tried, but they had to turn back around due to exhaustion or not feeling well or whatever it may be. So other men were there who tried. There were 10 other, or I'm sorry, there were 8 other climbers, but nobody else made it to the summit in that trip.
There were a lot of other Sherpas too that I'm surprised that getting so close, you would think you'd just
power through.
To know that you could do it, I would assume that you would try.
They did, but like I said, exhaustion and just not feeling good, they ended up turning around. According to the Himalayan database, at least 322 people have died on Everest since record keeping began in 1922, and that's a number that keeps growing every season. Current estimates put approximately 200 bodies remaining on the mountain, some of them still visible and being used as markers or just landmarks on the mountain, while others are lost potentially forever, falling down crevices, falling down inaccessible parts of the mountain, whatever it may be.
It's crazy that you could be doing something that's so physically exhausting that it is not even worth it to try and bring somebody down because it would take too much energy.
That is a very big problem. And there was a death that we will get into a little bit later that caused great controversy around that exact topic. In the death zone, up at that high altitude, there's a part of the mountain called Rainbow Valley, and it is called that due to all the colored jackets that you see of all the dead bodies just like laying out in the open that nobody can get to, or whatever the situation may be. But it's just all their brightly colored like parkas.
That's gotta be humbling trying to get up that mountain. You look over and see that.
There are so many. Like, in doing the research of this, I saw pictures of like single file rows of people hooked up to their climbing equipment, going along a very narrow path, and like literally dangling off the side of where they are. There's just bodies still stuck in the climbing gear of previous trips. It's fucking crazy to me. The first attempts at climbing this mountain involved a man named George Mallory. In 1923, or I apologize, 1922, Mallory and a team decided to try to summit in June, but while at 25,400 feet, so I'm decently close to the summit, an explosion rang out. It sounded like it was described as sounding like a gunpowder explosion, and an entire slope fell, killing 7 Sherpas. So the summit was canceled after that.
Well, what was the explosion?
The mountain ice, it could have been like ice thawing. It was June, caused a collapse. On his third attempt in 1924, George Mallory and fellow climber Sandy Irvine disappeared somewhere near the summit. This disappearance has led to a massive mystery that is still trying to be solved today. In the 1930s, Irvine's ice pick was found at 27,700 feet, which was less than 2,000 feet from the summit. In 1975, a Chinese climber named Wang Hongbao, who later ended up dying in an avalanche, unrelated, but he claimed that he discovered a body that he described to be of an Englishman. And in 1991, an oxygen canister, determined to be from the 1920s, was discovered nearby to that ice pick. Something happened right around this area. So now we have the ice pick, the canister, and the body all being discovered by 1991. In 1999, an expedition was officially put forward to try and find Mallory and Irvine's bodies. Mallory's body was found at 26,760 feet, so about 1,000 feet below the ice pick and the canister. And it was determined that he had died after a bad fall, resulting in a badly broken leg, rope injuries around his waist, and a big old bonk to the head. Fast forward to 2024, a boot with a foot and a sock was found on the mountain. The sock has a big red label, still very visible, that says AC Irvine on it, which was Sandy's real name. His real name was Andrew C. Irvine. He was discovered at least 7,000 feet lower than Mallory, but they have not disclosed officially where it was found to try and avoid people going over there and trying to find it themselves. But that is the only part of Irvine that has been found so far.
Yeah, we're assuming this is off the beaten path a little bit.
What they're assuming is due to the injuries found on Mallory's waist, that the two men were tied together and something happened that they ended up falling. So judging by the fact that we've only found Irvine's foot, this is my speculation, but I'm thinking that he took a much bigger fall than George Mallory, resulting in a lot more trauma to the body, which is why we've only found the foot. There is a lot of speculation as to whether or not these men actually made it to the summit. In their possession, there was a camera that to this day has not been found. And everybody thinks, if we find this camera, maybe we could actually see if they made it to the summit or not. Because, you're taking a camera, you're taking pictures up top. Other clues that say that they might have made it to the summit was Mallory had carried a photo of his wife that he planned to put on the summit. And while other possessions were found on his body still, the picture was not found. The other thing is his sunglasses were in his pocket, suggesting that on the descent, the sun had gone down, and there was no reason that they would have still been up in this area of the mountains unless they had reached the summit and then were trying to come down. Some notable deaths that have occurred on the mountain, one being Green Boots. He is very famous due to his bright neon green boots and being pretty close to the trail. Almost any climber would have seen his body laying there. His name is Sewang Paljor, and he died in the ill-fated 1996 Everest disaster, where a blizzard hit the mountain and a group ascended too late, so they got stuck in the blizzard. All told, it took the lives of 8 people. There's actually a movie with Josh Brolin and Jake Gyllenhaal called Everest based on that event. It was a pretty good movie. Babu Churi Sherpa was a legendary climber who summited the mountain 10 times and holds the record for the most time spent at the summit without oxygen. How long do you think it is?
Been up there 10 times?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to throw out 15 minutes.
21 hours.
Wow, I was going low.
21 hours.
See, I was thinking because maybe they go up there and they huff on it like every few minutes or something, chill.
He was an incredible mountaineer. Unfortunately, on April 29th of 2001, he died while taking pictures at Camp 2 after falling into a 98-foot crevice.
That'll do it.
A woman named Frances Arsentiev lost her life on Everest in May of 1998 after she and her husband attempted to summit without any supplemental oxygen. They ended up reaching the summit and were attempting to go back down, but both of them ended up passing away on the descent. She is actually the first American woman to summit without any oxygen. She was referred to as Sleeping Beauty due to the way that she died. She was just laying down and apparently looked very peaceful, as if asleep.
I'm sure with the lack of oxygen, they probably just passed out.
Yeah. In 2007, her body was finally recovered and moved. She was in the Rainbow Valley. She was one of the bodies in there. She had a purple jacket on.
They recovered her from there.
Yeah. A very controversial death that occurred was on May 15th, 2006. A 34-year-old Englishman named David Sharp froze to death in Green Boots Cave on the northeast ridge of Everest. His death ignited a huge controversy because it is estimated that over 40 climbers passed by him while he was still conscious, groaning, showing signs of distress, but still clearly alive, and nobody stopped to help him.
I mean, that is horrible, but it's that's just one of those conundrums. You like to think you're a good enough person to pack it in and go back down, but if a Sherpa's not going to go with you, I mean, am I ballsy enough to walk down Everest alone with a guy who's not doing good?
That was part of
I don't know.
the discussion that was being had, because it was not only people who were ascending, but it was people who were descending, passed by this man.
Oh, so people heading down.
Mm-hmm. People heading down where they could have, I mean, it might have slowed them down. I don't know. I've not climbed Everest. I don't know.
I would assume if you're heading down and somebody looks like they're in trouble,
You could probably,
unless he was waving people to not, like, that's the only...
that was not reported by anybody. So that's why this caused such outrage. It was people being like, how can you leave this man knowing what his fate will be and knowing that you could potentially help him, and you just walked by?
Must have pissed some people off at base camp.
Oh my God. It was even reported that Hillary, the man who officially was the first person to summit and return, he even expressed like outrage and like condemned this situation.
You would think there's moments when you have to leave people behind to ensure that everybody gets there safely.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can,
you should.
You should. And if you're descending anyway, what's stopping you?
Yeah, I don't know.
From picking a person up and just bringing them down.
Drag him. Like tie a rope around his chest and just drag him behind you. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, I don't know.
If he drifts off the side somewhere,
good.
He's dragging you down.
Very reminiscent of Mallory and Irvine.
Like, there's a lot of factors go into it. I mean, if you got to scale a very tight, narrow part and bring in a woozy kind of, is it worth my life to try to save this man's life? There's a lot of moral and ethical dilemmas that go into that.
Now you can see why this death caused a lot of discussion. Outside of singular deaths, there have been quite a few events resulting in mass casualties. On April 18th of 2014, a team of Sherpas were fixing lines and ladders in the Khumbu icefall area when a hanging ice block that was estimated to weigh about 32 million pounds broke off and caused an avalanche that resulted in the death of 16 Sherpas.
Wow.
Yeah, big wow.
Yeah, that's 32 million. I can't even fathom. Do they have how big this chunk of ice was? Did they say like how many meters by how many meters this thing was?
Mm-mm.
That sounds huge.
Massive, I know. This resulted in the rest of the climbing season to be canceled because a lot of Sherpas ended up boycotting out of respect for the fallen. On April 25th of 2015, an earthquake measuring 7.8 on the Richter scale set off two avalanches from opposite directions that absolutely leveled like the foot of the mountain. It was the worst earthquake in nearly 80 years and resulted in the death of 22 people on or near Everest. In the 2019 season, 11 people died over the course of the season. These deaths started raising concerns of overcrowding on the mountain. There is only one path that will get you to the summit. They essentially stand in single form lines due to so many permits being given out. A lot of people were standing there waiting for their turn to officially summit, and people started passing away from essentially what we've talked about, low oxygen altitude sickness. So this particular season brought up a lot of concerns over the amount of people who were being allowed to summit. The 2023 season saw the most successful summits in one season, but it also recorded the most deaths. An estimated 600 people successfully summited, but 17 to 18 people were also reported as dead or missing, presumed dead. 2023 was officially the most deadly season on record.
Most successful summits and deadliest season.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. The more people you have.
It's a numbers game. You push more people up the mountain, more people are going to get to the top, but more people are going to die on the way there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a statistic on what percentage of people that go to summit actually summit?
According to the Himalayan Recreation Treks and Expedition, it is approximately 60% of people who attempt to summit actually do. And now this could be due to a lot of things. It could be the 2 p.m. rule. You just don't hit it and then you have to turn around. It could be deaths. It could be just, I can't hang.
That's actually more people than I thought would summit.
Mm-hmm.
Six out of every 10 are making it to the top.
Yeah, and like I said, it could be for whatever reason. Just some other bad stuff on this mountain. In the 2023 season, there was an uptick of theft reported that involved stealing cooking equipment, tents, and oxygen, which is just really fucking rude. Paid $100,000 and you're going to steal my tent?
Is this theft at base camp or is this up the mountain?
All throughout the mountain.
You'd be killing someone if you take their stuff up the mountain.
I'm not saying the good people are doing this.
I just hope there's some kind of penalty.
If you can find who did it.
There's only so many people going up and down a mountain at a certain time.
On average, 600 to 800 people are...
In a season.
In a season, yeah.
How many are going up that day?
I don't know. I mean, you figure there's only a 2-week period about where people can summit. Try fitting 600 to 800 people in 2 weeks.
You got a group of people. What do you get? 20, 50? How many go up in one expedition?
Depending.
You got a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
You find something's missing. I don't think it's that hard to find it. You figure out who the fuck's got that in their shit. And then everybody knows who the fuck's stealing shit.
Maybe you should become
little mountain justice up in that thing. I'll be a Sherpa and just start adding to Rainbow Valley.
Maybe you can become an Everest detective. The other big fucking problem on the mountain is the trash. People leave their everything all over this mountain. Since 2014, a $4,000 deposit is required of each climber, and the government of Nepal will reimburse you if you bring back 18 pounds or 8 kilograms of trash. That's their estimate on how much trash each person leaves on the mountain. So you have to pay this $4,000 no matter what, and you can either get it back or you don't. It's up to if you're cleaning up. Despite this, in 2022, the government was reported to have cleaned up 34 metric tons of waste from Everest. As global warming is increasing, the snow and ice are melting as a result of this, and the amount of human waste and garbage that is starting to flow off the mountain down into the waterways is also starting to increase. Many government and non-governmental entities are working to create cleanup initiatives to clear the mess on and around the mountain. The Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee is a non-governmental entity that is run by the local Sherpa people, and they are trying to manage the waste, ensure everyone has legal permission to be in the area, and educating visitors on proper environmental care.
That's good.
Yeah, so just their own little group trying to do what they can.
Yeah.
The Mount Everest Biogas Project is working on building a solar-powered system that could potentially turn human waste into fuel and use it for the local communities around the area. 'Cause that's another big problem. The only bathrooms are at base camp. Outside of that, you're just free shitting on the mountain, and then that's all causing runoff. It's running down.
Yeah.
All this to say, there is hope if people can be educated on just proper care when you're in nature like that. You know, regardless of if you're at a local park or if you're on the tallest peak in the world, you got to clean up after yourself.
Yeah, that is a PSA for everyone.
Clean up.
It drives me insane when I see people driving down the highway and throwing like a McDonald's bag out the friggin' window, or just garbage littered on a trail in the Rocky Mountains. It's like, dude, pack it in, pack it out. The world is not your trash bin.
I will snap if I see somebody doing that. You are not the most important being in this world. Clean up after yourself.
And another thing that I was guilty of that I learned this year, actually.
Is it going to be cigarette butts?
No, it was gum.
Oh, yeah, gum is so bad.
Yeah, of course, cigarette butts are bad, but the gum, I didn't know that. I thought that was degradable.
Gum's bad.
Yep. Evidently, it's one of the most expensive things to clean up.
Yeah. So you know what?
So you want your taxes to go down? Quit spitting gum on the ground and sticking them under park benches.
Yep. Like I said, I don't care if you are at your local park, if you are on Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest. Pick your shit up. if people can be educated and people can actually care, the mountain can turn back to what it once was, which was a clean, revered powerhouse in this world. Just beautiful. That's my dark history of Mount Everest.
Thank you for telling me those tales. I knew that there were countless tales of how dangerous and impassable certain parts were of Everest, and I knew that the history was littered in, death and people going missing and just its triumphs and tragedy, right?
Right.
So I knew about that, very broad strokes. It's very nice to have some examples of how dangerous it really can be on the mountain.
Yep, definitely something that requires a lot of thought and training before going into it.
Yeah, for sure. And also, pick up your damn trash.
Pick up your trash. I will find you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Darkives. Hope you learned something new this week. Next week, we're actually going to start gearing up for the spooky Halloween season.
I'm making all of October spooky. It's the month of Halloween.
So get ready. October will be fun, and we will be releasing some
more spooky content.
Darker spooky tales is what Jamie tells me. She's super excited about it, and I'm excited to hear them. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you here next week. See ya.
Peace.